Well, another chilling aspect of the San Bernardino situation is the fact that women were involved, and that was one of the false narratives coming out of
Yeah,
the White House and others. And this speaks to the crackdown that you want as far as Syrian refugees. They tried to sell this thing. Well, most of them are children, and a lot of them are women, as if women aren't terrorists. As if it's funny, Congressman. You hear a lot of people call those who want to actually point out how dangerous this terrorist situation is right now, and those who want strong borders in the United States. You're called names like racist, things like that. Really, though, if you look at it, what does this have to do with race? There are white Muslims, there are black Muslims, there are Asian descent Muslims, there are plenty of women who are Muslims. It has nothing to do with what you look like or your background. It has to do with a radical belief system.
it really is. And, you brought up the woman shooter in San Bernardino. Look at the one in Paris. There was a woman involved in
Hmm.
that terrorist attack, too. And, we've done a lot of interviews. This is not anti-Muslim. This is not anti-anything other than anti-terrorism.
Yep.
And I'm going to do what I have to do to protect the United States of America and the citizens here. And I would think our president would man up and say, you know what, this is a time to quit playing politics. Let's seal the border or secure the border, and let's find out who is in this country before we let anybody else in this country. It's going to be a disaster in Europe, as it's already mounting to be, because they tried to embrace multiculturalism. And when you have immigration without assimilation, it becomes an invasion. And if you have to have people to assimilate in your culture, if you don't, you get exactly what's happening in France, England, Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands. I will not tolerate that here in our country, and I know there's a handful of us up there that are fighting to protect that.
Well before the horrific turn of events in California, last month you proposed a bill to give governors more power to turn refugees away. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. And this came from talking to our governor here in Florida, Governor Scott. He put out a letter that says, we will not accept refugees from the Middle East at this point until the federal government tells the governor in our state and other states where they're coming from, where they're going, and if they've been vetted to be guaranteed secure from terrorist activities. And we went ahead and introduced a bill, and by the time we introduced it, and it took about 5 days to get, all the legal stuff done properly. By the time we had introduced it, there was 34 governors saying we will not accept these people in our state. And if you go back to the Constitution, Article 1, Section 4, I believe it is, it says that the federal government must provide each state a Republican form of government and guarantee protection from invasion. And our bill goes back to the 1980 Immigration Act that says the government must tell the states where a refugee is going, how many are coming in, and that they're not a security risk. And if they can't do that, the governors don't have to take them, and they're protected by the laws that are on the book. And so I'm excited about this bill. We've got several co-sponsors, and we're hoping to bring this up in this next week.
While liberals talk about taking guns from law-abiding Americans, it's no mistake, Congressman, is it, that these latest two hits happened in Paris and California, two places that are weak on guns as far as gun control. They're strong on gun control, unfortunately. So, I mean, I don't think there's a mistake there. It makes the targets softer. Not to mention that they go after a place with folks with disabilities.
Well, they do in 2 points here. One is, again, I would think our president would tell people to be vigilant, to be on the lookout, get over the political correctness. And if you would have been that neighbor next to these people and you saw those strange activities, you don't have to snitch them out, but you might want to alert some people that, hey, there's something going on. It doesn't look normal. There's nothing wrong with doing that. We don't want to become a paranoid society. But the other thing is the liberal progressives in this country want to get rid of the guns. They want to get rid of all these, and they're missing the mark. What they should be doing is fighting with us to preserve our founding principles, our core values,
in our Constitution, because that gives us what we have in America, a way of life that nobody else has. And if we all fight to preserve that, the liberals can be as liberal as they want on the left, and we can be as conservative as we want to be on the right. But if we don't preserve those basic foundational principles of our country, everybody loses. So this is not a liberal idea or a conservative. This is an American ideology that we all need to fight to protect, to preserve those different ways of life in this country that the people of ISIS are attacking liberties and freedoms because it's an assault on their way of life. And this is something we all need to get together as Americans and protect and preserve.
The irresponsibility of the media here really stood out to me, too. I mean, we're not surprised by that anymore, but this was really extreme. I mean, at one point, early reports said the gunmen were 3 white men.
Exactly.
They tried to talk about a Planned Parenthood that was within the area that had nothing to do with any of this, trying to, again, say, you're almost sitting there. I mean, is it too far to say that there are major media outlets that are sitting there hoping that when these things happen that it is someone that has something to do with, say, a Republican or a conservative or a Tea Party or an NRA movement?
I think they're very pathetic the way they come out. And I heard that argument or that report right when this happened. They thought it was three white people. You know, for them to do that, it's irresponsible. They ought to be shut down. They're inflaming things and sending false signals out there, and I think it's very clear why they're doing that. They have an agenda to promote this liberal progressive agenda, and I just think anybody that hears that stuff ought to turn that garbage off and just cancel their subscription to those kind of news organizations. And the same on the right. If they're false reporting, get rid of them and hold these people accountable. Yeah, I think it's unconscionable that the media is doing this.
Are you surprised over the years of all the scandals and all the things we've seen in the current regime in Washington that there hasn't been more of a serious push for an impeachment of the President of the United States? And is it too late for anything like that to happen at this point?
Man, I tell you what, I can't thank you for bringing that subject up. No, I do not think it's too late. And the reason I say that is we introduced H.R. 198, which define high crimes and misdemeanors and impeachable defenses. We introduced that. We're going to reintroduce it because it didn't gain much traction because it has the word impeachment in there. And the willingness of people in Washington to stand up and say, you know what, we're going to chalk the field of the football field. And this is the purpose of our bill, was to show the borders of the football field so that the executive, the Supreme Court justices, and everybody in Washington in government knows where the boundaries are. And if you step outside of that, you're going to be penalized. In addition to that, we're introducing, and I'm hoping this comes out next week, it'll be a joint resolution of a disapproval for Barack Obama. And it's going to focus solely on national security. And we're going to introduce this, and I'm excited about this because this president needs to be held accountable. I checked with some of the chairmen from some of the committees that would deal with this, and they also said, I can't believe nobody stepped up to impeach this president. And it's not too late. And anytime any president oversteps the boundaries, they need to be reined in, and the only people that can do that are the members of the House. We've got to initiate that. And the American people in our district are clamoring for that. And Kevin, if you'll allow me just one more thing. This is about any president that is sitting in the executive mansion. If you get a Hillary Clinton in there, or a Bernie Sanders, or say somebody like a Donald Trump, that, he's richer than you, he's smarter than us, and if you have an arrogant Republican in there that just wants to do whatever they want and bypass the rule of law, this is both for Republicans, Democrats, anybody that's sitting in the White House. And I think it's imperative for us in Congress to bring this up so that we have that protection and the person sitting there is forewarned.